Alright guys, so it's time for us to continue our coverage over DC All-In Initiative, and we pick up with Justice League Unlimited. Now guys, let me tell y'all real quickly, I love this series a lot. It is amazing. Now, we only have the first two issues so far, but really, I'm kind of hyped to see where the story could possibly go when it comes to this series. Now, as y'all know, in the early 2000s, we had a TV show called Justice League Unlimited. And so just being able to see what I saw in the past being used right now in the present day, but still being somewhat hype is amazing for me because this series is doing what the old one did, allowing all the heroes of Earth being able to be a member of the Justice League. But also, the stakes are a whole lot higher than they were in that TV show. Now, before we dive into today's storyline, I kind of want to sit down and explain how the Justice League works in its new initiative, because you do have every single hero being part of the team now. And so with the world, you have all these different problems popping up left and right, but sometimes you only need a few members for those kind of problems. And so for the league, as soon as a problem pops up, they look at it and say, you know what? That is a big problem. Go ahead and send in the big guns. They are able to address which team or which heroes should be used as a team to handle a certain problem. And so getting into today's storyline, we pick up in South Africa. And this is our first example of, okay, we have a huge problem. Go ahead and send in the big guns. Do not send in the small guns to handle a situation like this. And so you have the Flash, Black Lightning, Star Sapphire, Superman, Wonder Woman there to handle this big, huge problem. Now, before we are able to learn what exactly is going down here in this area, we have to jump back in time and we pick up with a character known as Airwave. Now, Airwave first appeared in a Green Lantern annual, and matter of fact, he is the younger cousin to, well, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. Now, with that being said, for Airwave, he had just joined the Justice League. And so when he does arrive at the Watchtower, you have Barry Allen begin to show him all over the place. Now, this section is being used as a way to show us the different teams we could see in the All-In Initiative. So, for example, the Atom Project team, or possibly the Superman family team. You know, we have all these different teams going to be out there when it comes to the All-In Initiative. Now, for Airwave, he has the ability to turn himself and others into radio waves. But while you have Flash showing him around, that's when the alarms go off. And this leads us back into the present day where you have the big guns going to handle that problem over in South Africa. And so as we jump back over to the present day, we pick up with our heroes trying to handle that problem in South Africa. And we kind of find out that our heroes are battling against a brand new terrorist group called the Inferno. Now, for the Inferno, their main goal is to get a huge amount of material called iridium. Now, iridium is more valuable than gold. And so, of course, they want that because they'll have more power in different areas over the world. Now, for our heroes, they're kind of struggling here. And the reason why? Because they're fighting against the drones that were sent out by the Inferno group. Oh, by the way, the different members of the Inferno group, they're not there at all. They had sent out their drones to do their dirty work. But for heroes like Superman and Wonder Woman, they're kind of struggling right now. And the reason why? Because these drones and their armor suits are more durable than anything Superman or Diana had ever seen before. But now we have to jump over to Costa Rica, and we pick up with Batman and Blue Beetle handling a different problem. Now, when they do arrive, they're then confronted by a police officer. Now, this police officer, he tells them like, hey, listen, there's some kind of creature that comes out in the middle of the night. It grabs our kids and then disappears in the forest. And so for Batman and Blue Beetle, they have no idea what they had officially stepped into. And so you have our two heroes walk over to the forest. When they arrive, they realize they see something they don't like at all. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to know what they saw until the next chapter, which is later on in this video. And so as we jump back over to South Africa, we pick up with Black Lightning and also Star Sapphire. Now, these two characters, they have found a soldier who is badly injured. Now, for Black Lightning, it's more of, hey, let's go ahead and move on and try to find some other survivors, because most likely this young man might not even survive. But to Star Sapphire, she believes in the possibility that she could save his life. But to do that, she needs his wife here to be able to save his life. Now, the problem is, though, they have no idea where his wife is at. But luckily for them, they got Airwave. Because with Airwave, he has the ability to turn himself into, well, radio waves, where he's then able to play himself through everyone's cell phones. And so he begins to play a message where he's calling out for the man's wife. And once they do find her, a flash grabs her and brings her right over to Star Sapphire. And with her power of love, she was able to heal the man. Now, for our heroes, they were also able to take out all the drones that belong to the Inferno group. Now, for Superman, he does find a message that was left behind by the Inferno group. Now, with this message, it's your usual bad guy speech, the whole idea of, hey, we're a brand new group, and our goal right now is to go ahead and take over the entire world and possibly the universe. Now, for Superman, he believes that the League is too powerful for almost anybody to stop them. But you have the Inferno group say, your League is nothing to us. And matter of fact, you don't know it yet, but your League, it actually belongs to us. And then the message ends. Now, for a brief moment, we jump back over to Batman and Blue Beetle, where you have Batman call in for some backup. And the reason why, because apparently he found some eggs. And he says, hey, we need the big hitters here right now because these eggs are about to hatch very soon. But now we have to jump back over to Airwave. Now, when we do, we kind of find out that Airwave is, well, a traitor. That somebody brought Airwave into the League to hopefully kill off the League. When I say kill off the League, most likely kill every single member of the League. And that is how the first chapter ends. But as we get into issue number 2, we kind of find out why Batman and Blue Beetle had to call in the big hitters for, because they had discovered eggs that are going to hatch into parademons. As we all know, parademons usually work for Darkseid. Now, for our heroes, they believe that Darkseid is dead, but in reality, he is not. But either way, it's still kind of weird of how in the world were there a bunch of eggs of parademons in Costa Rica and they had no idea about it. But either way, you do have our heroes begin a fight against the parademons. Now for Batman, he tell our heroes to take care of 3 different things. So you have our heroes break up into 3 different teams to handle those 3 different objectives. But now we have to jump over to Singapore. And the reason why, because, okay, this leads into another series called Project Atom, where basically, thanks to absolute power, some of the heroes had lost their powers and their powers went to other people across the world who never had powers. And so their goal is to restore people's powers, but make sure the powers go back to their rightful owners. Like, for example, there's a guy in Singapore right now who has the powers of Atom Smasher. But you do have the Atoms and also Atom Smasher being able to use a device to give Smasher his powers back just like that. But getting back over to our heroes in Costa Rica, you do have our heroes go out of their way to handle different problems that are going on in Costa Rica. But I kind of want to focus more on Martian Manhunter. And the reason why, because this is a callback to absolute power. Like I said earlier, when it came to that event, you had people lose their powers, and sometimes their powers went to other people, or sometimes their powers had just never returned. And so for Martian Manhunter, we kind of find out that the dude had lost some of his abilities thanks to absolute power. You then have our heroes find one of the parademons who are not like the other parademons. And let me explain. Most of the time, parademons are unable to think for themselves. They're a blank slate to be easily controlled by Darkseid. But this Parademon is self-aware. It is able to think for himself. And the reason why, because Darkseid made him like that. See, the Darkseid, he wanted someone or a Parademon to watch over a certain nest of Parademons. And so he brought up this one right here. Now for this Parademon, he was down with the task at first, but then over time, he kind of looked at his task as being exiled from his home. And so that is why he went out of his way to kidnap children. And the reason why? To offer the children the dark side, to hopefully have a way back over to Apocalypse. But here comes the big problem. You see, for this Parademon, he had no idea that Darkseid is dead. And so once he finds out that Darkseid is dead, he goes crazy and begins to attack our heroes. Now for Martian Manhunter, he gets very upset because this man right here is trying to justify that his pain is good enough reason to kidnap children to use them as a way, as a bargaining chip to get back home to Apocalypse. Now for this Parademon, he feels like him and Martian Manhunter are just alike because they're two creatures from a different world. But you have Martian Manhunter say, no, I am nothing like you at all. And so he goes crazy to the point where you have the other heroes having to step in to stop him. Now, the book does kind of end on the note where you do have the Martian Manhunter leave, but you have Superman tell the Watchtower that there's something wrong with the Martian Manhunter besides him losing his abilities. But with that being said, this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. I'll see you on the next comic book video.